Since before the state's gun and magazine ban went into effect, we've been covering the ins and outs, including committee hearings where various gun control advocates advocated for more strict laws in Illinois, and gun rights advocates said that you can't infringe upon the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. So the governor signs the ban on certain types of semi-automatic weapons and magazines in Illinois on January 10th. About a week later, you had the first lawsuit filed in state court. That was transferred to federal court. And I think a lot of people since then have really gotten a lesson in the nation's judicial system, which is the third branch of government. You've got the executive branch, which for federal government is the presidency and all of the federal agencies. For state government, that's the governor. All right. Then you've got the legislative branch. That's the U.S. Congress, the House and the Senate over in Washington, D.C. In Illinois, it's here in Springfield. And then you get the judicial branch, which there's a federal judicial branch and a state judicial branch, and they are all checks and balances on each other. So if the executive signs a law that the legislature passes that is questioned unconstitutional, it gets sued, and then you get to court, and the judiciary is supposed to rectify whether or not the executive and the legislature have that authority to infringe on constitutional rights. That's essentially where we're at right now with the question of Illinois' gun and magazine ban, with the latest playing out all across the state in Northern District Federal Court and Southern District Federal Court, but also in the Illinois Supreme Court, which is set to hear the Macon County case from State Representative Dan Calkins, I believe, on May 16th. So put that on your calendar, May 16th, oral arguments here in Springfield at the Illinois Supreme Court. Be interesting to see what ultimately happens and all the questions that have been brought up about conflicts of interests with two Supreme Court justices when they were candidates getting $1 million each from Governor J.B. Pritzker and six-figure donations from the House Speaker. So that's the state court, all right, May 16th. We've got a couple of cases moving through the federal courts in the Southern District. The judge down there heard a case a couple of weeks ago from 4 plaintiffs' groups challenging the law on Second Amendment grounds. Again, the state court, they're dealing with the equal protections issues. The federal court dealing with the Second Amendment issues. So the judge still has that under advisement. Nothing's been updated there except for this in the Southern District. You do have one of the attorneys for plaintiffs groups, David Siegel, filing this response. And this was filed on Sunday, ultimately highlighting their response to what the defendants had to say. They said that, looking at a variety of different previous precedents, Heller and Bruin, they say it establishes that law-abiding citizens have an absolute right to possess and use arms that are in common use for lawful purposes. Motion for preliminary injunction in one case confirms that firearms and ammunition magazines that Illinois bans are in common use and therefore cannot be banned. And it goes on with more kind of highlights of a different case and really, I guess, answering a question that was brought up by the courts and by the defense statements and whatnot. So that's where we're at with the federal case in the Southern District. The Northern District, you've got Law Weapons, and that's gun store out of Naperville advancing their case, trying to get a preliminary injunction that was shot down by the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. The case is still on appeal in the Seventh Circuit, but things are going to mesh together and it'll be interesting times. What's it been like out on the street, right? We've been covering all the stuff about the courts and how this is playing out. I want to join now with Kourtney Redmond. He is the Illinois director of the National AfricanAmerican Gun Association, to kind of give us what he's hearing from people he interacts with regularly. Kourtney, thanks for taking time with us this morning. What are you hearing out there in the past, 80 some odd days or so?
No problem. How you doing there, Bishop?
Good.
I've heard so many questions. People have asked me, even in my concealed carry classes that I teach, why can't they buy a gun that holds more than 15? Or why can't they buy an AR? Or why can't they possess a magazine over 10? And one of the things I do, I redirect them to the state representative or state senator. I think a lot of times the question needs to be asked as to why did they vote yes on that. And I have first-time hunters that want to go hunting. They bought a shotgun it possibly holds over 5, but they can plug it, and they can't bring that onto public land. So this is the nuance and the problems that we are running into when people say that, hey, I want to be able to protect myself, and I don't think the government should, regulate that or tell me what I can and can't protect myself with.
So you've definitely seen an increase, an uptick of interest in the Second Amendment. Do you feel you're giving a lot of lessons about the importance of the Second Amendment?
Yes.
And what's it been like the past few months? And as far as kind of, I guess, characterized, has it been a major increase of interest? Is it, there's a few more people, or how would you best characterize that?
Oh, no, I'm getting calls all the time, and I'm getting questions all the time, even at my job or wherever, when I'm out and about. I get questions all the time as to, hey, will we be able to build an AR-15? No, you won't be able to get the parts for it. You won't be able to buy a little receiver. Well, I have a little receiver. What should I do with it? Well, you're probably going to have to register it with the state. If this all goes through, you're probably going to have to register it with the state in October. Hopefully, there's something on the federal side as far as an injunction that says that people can possess and actually protect themselves. And we're also hoping that the Illinois State Supreme Court will see in our favor as gun owners that it's legal for us to possess that. But I have been getting questions because people do want classes on how to build their own AR-15, or they want to be able to change out their parts. Right now, it's still murky water, and it's unseen right now as to what the future is going to hold.
Yeah, especially with the litigation, and it's fully anticipated it could go all the way up to the Illinois Supreme Court. We're talking with Kourtney Redmond. He is the Illinois director of the National African-American Gun Association. Kourtney, you're also a veteran. You were in the Marines.
Yes.
Are you also, are you part of law enforcement, or are you in the class of people that, you can't purchase a semi-automatic rifle of a certain kind?
No, I'm in the class of people that can't purchase a semi-automatic rifle or a handgun that holds over 15 rounds. I am not in law enforcement. I'm just a regular Joe that gets up and ties his boots up every morning and get ready for work. And I hate the way that the states, that the Illinois state, that it dictates what you can and can't protect yourself with because of their fears, or the fear of some and the lack of knowledge. I've gotten so many questions as to when did it take effect. I know that April 10th, I think it was, if I'm correct on that date, that's when the first beginning of it was. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was just confirming. Yeah, that's when the next phase kicked in several weeks ago, where you can't have certain magazines out in public. If you're caught with it, you can get a petty offense. You can get a Class 3 felony if you've caught with certain semi-automatic weapons that fit into the state legislature's definition of, quote, assault weapons. But, Kourtney, back to the issue of being a veteran. What have you heard from other veterans that aren't able to purchase certain types of rifles, shotguns, and handguns?
Well, one of the first things I did hear from other veterans, they had the question of what if I have to get replacement parts for my AR and I need to change it out? Is there a clear and cut message for that? And other veterans, they feel that, I've talked to a few veterans that feel that we fought in Iraq or whatever war or whatever campaign that you were in, we fought for nothing. We fought for our freedoms to enjoy the Second Amendment that we fought for. But we also can't enjoy it because we have an overzealous, not overzealous, but I hate to say it. No, I don't hate to say it. A dictatorship is going to tell us how to protect ourselves. And, with the no more sales, you're still seeing crime in Illinois. You're still seeing crime in Chicago. I am in Cook County. I stay in Cook County, but I work in Chicago. I work close to downtown Chicago. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a shootout on the expressway, or I've seen something real sketchy. And we work in an area where there's a homeless shelter here. and amongst the other homeless people that do stay around the actual place where I work. And so, some people, they're scared that when the women walk out, they at least want someone to walk with them because they don't know what's going to happen. But to get back to veterans, yes, a lot of veterans are feeling, they're feeling bad because this is not what we fought for. We fought for a constitutional republic and a right to protect ourselves.
Kourtney Redmond, again, the Illinois director of the National African-American Gun Association. Greatly appreciate you taking the time. We'll talk again soon as this thing continues to play out through the courts, all right?
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It is Springfield's Morning News, now 6:54 from WMAY in Culver's West on Wabash.
It's time to apply.